What's going on YouTube? Soul Productions here, back with another Draco deck profile. Um, this one I took with me to the Brooklyn Regional that happened in Flatbush this past weekend. Um, I did overall okay. I didn't do as good as I thought I would, but overall I didn't do too bad. My record was 5 wins, 3 losses, and a draw. So overall, I wasn't even expecting to even win a match at a regional, but I ended up getting 5, and I thought that was great. Um, yeah, I changed up my deck for the regional. I did some testing with a few friends. Um, this right here uh, is the new and improved Draco deck. I added some new tech content into it, like some stuff that you saw in the past or in the main, some new stuff or in the side that you probably haven't seen yet. Um, let's get into the deck profile. If you enjoy my deck, please feel free to subscribe and share this video with any of your Draco friends that need some guidance on this deck. That's fine with me. Uh, we're gonna start off with the monsters. Obviously the monster, the one dynamite. Um, I run him because obviously the one because he's at 1, and my theory is Konami hates this deck with a burning passion, but he's the best thing we got. Masterpiece is banned, um, so he's pretty much the closest thing to Masterpiece. He is not Masterpiece. I know what Masterpiece is. I played Masterpiece when he was legal, but unfortunately he's not. Next, we're gonna play Two Maiden. I initially think this card is sucks. It's terrible, but you need to see a body on board as fast as you can, and the search with your monster is great. The reason why I run her at 2 was because I didn't want to see her only opening hand. I felt like 1 wouldn't have done me anything, and 3 would have been a little bit too cloggy. So 2 is the perfect ratio. I only needed 1 of her, but like another reason why I ran 2 was because in case I banish 1 off of Desires and I have the other one on my board, it's fine. I only need to see a beginning game anyway. So, yeah. And another reason why we run 2 is because we'd rather see 3 copies of this guy, Ignis Heat. So, the Draco monsters all have different effects. She searches out your monsters, he searches out your spells, and he searches out your traps. Pretty much from deck to field, and then I think the monster one's only from deck to hand. Outside of the Draco monsters, these are the only 2 Draco monsters I run. I feel like this is a perfect ratio because you want to see your Ignis, you want to search out Dynamite late game if he doesn't get banished off of Desires, and you want to see her beginning game, but you don't want to see her in her opening hand right away. So I think it's great having all these ratio. Outside of the Draco monsters, I also run 2 copies of Dwayne the Rock Johnson himself, Amano Iwado. Um, when I was deciding if I wanted to run this or Border, the only reason why I chose Amano is because he's a good stun card and like he's good going second in case I do lose the dice roll and he's in my opening hand. I could just normal summon this and break their board. Going into the event, I thought about doing a blind second True Draco, like sort of like Sky Striker, but with True Draco. Because I feel like True Draco is a lot more better going second because with all their draw power, having that extra draw going second, and then having your spell and traps being able to have a purpose of breaking down their board. I feel like if you're going first, you're basically strapping in when the opponent draws, just flip all your floods and hope to God they don't have anything. Which, I mean, I'm fine with that, but, I kind of want to see more of a going second build in the future, so hopefully I can get on that. That's it for the monsters. I believe it is 8 monsters in total. Uh, yeah, eight monsters. For the spells, standard, you're gonna run 3 diagram. Your field spell. Um, diagram is I know I said in previous videos that I didn't like diagram that much anymore. Uh, This weekend, I think, was the most I ever used out of diagram that I have in my previous locals or matches, which I'm honestly glad I didn't cut it or anything. Um, for the Draco spells, you're going to run 3 Disciples, 3 Heritage. Standard, you got to run 3 of each. I feel like if you're not running 3 of these, you're not. If you're not running all 3 of these in a 3 ratio, you're not playing the deck correctly because you're gonna want to see these, or you're gonna want to have an Ignis to search these two because these do some pretty good tech games. Like when they both leave the field, they both pop back row. I'm talking about these two. Um, Heritage is literally a discounted pot of greed. You can +3 off of him depending on how many Draco cards you sent to the graveyard, monster, spell, or trap. Disciples is a discounted pot of avarice. Take 3. Oh yeah, both of these are for True King and True Draco. So this one right here is take 3 True King or True Draco cards from the graveyard, shuffle them in the deck. When you do, you draw a card. You basically recycle your pieces, which is great. So if when you desire it and you already used up your pieces and your others are banished, you can reuse them. So your deck feels a little more grindy. I love playing grindy games. I think it's great. Heritage is a free draw power, so without discarding your cost, which is amazing. Uh, that's it for those kinds right here. Those are standard, and then for the draw power of the deck, that's it for those main Draco spells. So for the draw power, we run 2 Potted Desires. This card came in clutch over the weekend. It won me unclogged hands. It won me with clogged hands, and it won me my matches. Deciding on the draw ratio, I didn't want to run 1 because I knew it wouldn't do me anything. I didn't want to run 3 because I knew that would have been way too much. Seeing I have a lot of other draw power in the deck. If I didn't have a lot of draw power in the deck, I would maybe consider bumping this up to 3. But I think 2 is a proper ratio, not just for this deck, but in this format in general. Next, for the next part of draw, or you can say search, 2 Potted Duality. This was the card I ended up cutting to 2 last minute because I was running a 41 card deck with this at 3. The reason why I cut her to 2 was because I wanted to try to make a way to get it to 40 at least. And doing some testing, I noticed I would run Duality into Duality or open 2 Dualities in my hands, and then run Duality into Demise, and then Demise into like another Duality. I did not enjoy that like at all. So I feel like 2 is the proper ratio with this deck. It's great to abuse because you don't special summon for shit. Excuse me. But it comes in handy when you need it. It's a once per turn, and if you Duality into Duality and draw that Duality, it's just basically another one of himself, and you're just gonna brick. You don't want to do that. Next, to round off the spells slash draw power, we run 3 Carded Mice. This card was just God today, getting out all my floodgates. A free +2 in the game. It's amazing. The only downgrade is you have to discard your hand after the resolution, but yet again, you have nothing to discard because you're going to be drawing to all your floods. You set all your floods, and then you have nothing else in your hand, and you just play it off from there. If you're going to be playing around with the draw ratio, always keep Demise at 3. This is the one draw card you're going to want. I believe Demise is part of the reason why this deck is even good. When I first played this deck with Masterpieces around, I actually thought Demise should have been banned, but still at 3, it's still consistent, and I'm going to be running it at 3 for as long as, this deck is a thing. So, that's it for the spells. I believe it's, 17 counting, 16, 17 counting in spells. For the traps, this is going to be standard 3 Apocalypse. So, yeah, 3 True Draco Apocalypse. I've seen people run this at 2, and I don't know why. I love abusing this card like it's no tomorrow. I don't know why the hell people run this at 2. you should be running this at 3. And then alongside with that, we have obviously the 1-2 King's Return, because it's at 1. And it grinds your games. You can special summon from the grave, having their attack points with Apocalypse, and then when these leave the field, you can pop a monster. And you can additional normal summon. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you can additional normal summon during your opponent's turn with the traps, and then you can additional normal summon during your turn with your Heritage and Apocalypse spells, Disciples and Heritage. So you can like normal summon like 2 to 3 times a turn. It's insane what this deck can do. Now this next part of the deck is the real reason why I love playing it.
Really?
3 Monarch, 3 there can only be 1, 2 Crackdown, and 1 Skill Drain. Oh, I feel like this was correct. I wanted Floods for going second over the weekend, so this would be your correct ratio. So yeah, I'm obviously running the no extra deck build because I'm running Eurupt. Eurupt prevents you from having an extra deck, which is fine. There can only be 1. If they have no negates and all their monsters are the same, it pretty much just breaks their board. This actually won me a Salad player. I 2-0'd a Salad player with this card. Crackdown's really, really clutch. I didn't want to run 3 because it would have been a little cloggy. Another reason why I didn't run 3 was because I would rather see these than this. This was kind of like another resort. And then Skill Drain, just in case I run out of these, I have this. It's fine. I think Skill Drain only popped up once this weekend, but it was around the time I didn't even need it. To round off the traps, part of the reason why this deck is still alive, 3 Solemn Judgment. This was the MVP over the weekend because it kept all these alive when people Twin Twisted, Red Rebooted, Heavy Storm, or even like evenly matched me. Three of these. This is the reason why the deck was alive. So, yeah, I thought this was great. So you have your 3 return at 3 judgments. Keep all this alive, because you would want to be seeing all these over the weekend. You just gotta make your ratios correctly. That's it for the traps. I think it is same as the spell, 16, 17 in total. Yeah, I run more spell and traps and monsters, and that is what you're gonna want to be seeing in True Draco. So that's it for the main deck. 40 cards, standard. No extra deck, obviously, because I'm running the Eurupt build. And a little tip of advice for you: I was gonna run the Super Poly build with an extra deck, but I thought to myself, with the new promos coming out, I felt like the Eurupt build would be more necessary. So that's the reason why I ended up running Eurupt. So, yeah, I mean, it's really up to you guys. Super Poly with an extra deck is another option. I just feel like the no extra deck version is a lot more consistent and stronger. Alright, well, anyways, moving on to the side deck. My side deck did okay this weekend, but it wasn't all that great. So, 3 Lancia, like I said in previous videos, I was citing this in primarily for the Orcus Thunder matchup. I did not face any Orcus this weekend, but I did face a Thunder match, round, I think, 8 out of 9, and I sided this in, and it won me the game. I actually ended up facing a Grand Maju Turbo player round 1, and this actually won me the second game before going to game 3. So, yeah, really good card. Next, for the monsters, you're going to run 2 Sphere Modes. Sphere Mode was the other MVP of the deck. It broke boards, it broke games. It was really good going second. You just break their board. It's like, oh, you did all those combos for nothing with all those negates? Nope. It's good. I didn't want to run 1 because I knew it wouldn't have done me anything. I didn't want to run 3 because I felt like I had a break, so 2 is perfect. Another reason why I ran 2 is I wanted the side deck's really tight, and I wanted to add some cards in to make some room. To round off the monsters, we run 1 Madaulchas. Card is insane. It won me the it won me a bunch of matchups. It won me for it was another reason why I won against Thunder Dragon. It won me the Salmon grade matchup. I think it was round 3. This won me against Salads because I just tributed off all my shit, and then I just like summoned this big boy to the field, and then they couldn't even get over it, and I had there can only be one, and it was literally like, oh damn, I have no out to this. That's it for the monsters. For the spells, the only set of spells I ever ran in the deck, 3 Cosmic Cyclones. I actually ended up citing this in a lot more than I thought. This was the other MVP. I cited this in against a stun deck. It was like a stunned Mystic Mind deck. I ended up citing this in. So every time that you did Multiverse, set Mystic Mind to the field, I'd flip this, pay 1,000, and just banish their Mystic Mind, which was really funny because Mystic Mind getting Mystic Mind to the field was their main strategy, just so they can stall me and burn me the whole time. It was like a Mystic Mind stunish deck. So I found that hysterical that I just kept like blowing up his Mystic Mind, and then he couldn't even do anything, and he just lost both games. Next, for the traps, I run 3 evenly matched. A lot of people say this card isn't good, and I'm slowly starting to disagree. This card did not do that great for me this weekend. I think I only resolved it once, and it was against a Nekroz player I ended up facing a little bit down the road, and even resolving it against him, it did nothing for me. So I may consider taking this out in the future, but for now I'll keep it until something better comes along. For spell hate, 2 anti, and then 1 order. When I cited these in, and these came up a lot, like I mean a lot more than I expected, I was pretty upset about that. Because when you cite these in right here, you want to see these in your opening hand, but you don't want to see too much of it. That's the reason why I run these at low ratios. Well, orders at 1, so that's an obvious why I run it at 1. Anti-spells at 2. I feel like 1 wouldn't have done me anything, 3 would have been too much. I feel like the 2 ratio is really good in this deck because depending on what card you have, you don't want to see more than 2 in this deck, or more than 2 in your opening hand. So that's it for the side deck. That's it for the deck profile. Overall, I didn't do too bad. I felt like I could have done better. I felt like my side deck was the thing that was holding me back this weekend, although a few cards were MVP in this deck. Mainly the Cyclones and Metaltron were my go-to MVPs this weekend because I was facing a few Pendulums, a lot of heavy back row decks. Before I end the video, I could discuss my matchups right here. Let's see. Round 1, I went up against Gren Maju Turbo. Took him to game 3, but I lost. Round 2 was Subterrors. We ended up drawing at the time. Round 3 was Salads. 2-0'd him. Round 4 was Nekroz. I got 0-2'd. Nekroz was my least experienced matchup that day. Round 5 was Madaulchas. I 2-0'd him. Round 6, I actually faced a rogue hero player, and I took him to game 3 but lost. Round 7, Stun Mine, 1 game 3. Thunder Dragons, 1 game 3. And Pendulums, 1 game 3. So that's it for the deck profile, and hopefully I can see you guys later. Peace.